All right, so it's Wednesday evening after work, and as you can see, we pumped the pool down quite a bit so that I can have access to this fitting that cracked. Now you can have a little bit better look at it. That black line across there, that's not supposed to be there. That's a crack between the threaded portion and the flange. So all the water was just rushing around that crack and around the fitting and then out the side of the pool. So that was the problem. So we got the water pump down, and now I'm going to be able to take a razor and go around that fitting so I don't mess up the paint when I go trying to take that off, and kind of cut that fitting loose. And then over here on the back side, I've got to dig this out, get all the sand away from it, and then loosen the lock nuts and the bolts on the clamp ring, and then loosen the set screw on the collar, and then I should be able to slide that thing back toward this union right there, or that coupling. And once I slide that back, that means I'll be able to push the other side out of the pool or into the pool a little bit, so I can spin off the cracked flange and spin on a new flange, and then put the silicone to it, and then put it all back together again. So that's the plan. I'm going to get to it. So I got the broken piece out. Actually, it came out in two pieces. As soon as I cut around this flange with the razor knife and tapped on it, the whole flange fell off. So that thing was cracked around the entire inside. So not just a little fracture, but completely snapped. And you can see the threaded portion here. It's threaded on the inside and the outside. We're using the inside threads to thread onto the front of this fitting, this bulkhead fitting. And you can see that's what the other end of it looks like. It's just a piece of Schedule 80 PVC that's been threaded, and then this new fitting threads onto the end of it. You seal it with Teflon tape and Teflon paste. Give it an extra good seal. So I'm going to clean the end of the pipe off and load it up with some new Teflon tape and new Teflon paste. Screw this one on it, lay the silicone caulk to it, and then we'll go ahead and clamp it back down using our clamp ring here. Get it set back in place. I don't know if these are just the ones that were originally supplied with those easy inlets, or just poor quality, or if I'm just really over tightening things. I don't think so, because until I crank down on this thing a little bit, it wiggles in the hole. The hole's bigger than the pipe. It's designed that way. So until I crank down on these bolts here, that thing just kind of flops around. You don't want it moving. You're not going to get a good seal, if it's not tight against the pool. So I really don't think I over tightened it. I just wonder if it was just a a bad batch of these flanges, or what, because this is the second one that's broken in the exact same spot. And again, I don't think I'm just really using man hands here and just cranking down on it. I think I'm just snugging it up as much as I can without over torquing it. But anyways, I got these brand new fittings from Hayward. Thankfully I ordered an extra one when I replaced the one on the other side. So that's what they're supposed to look like, brand new and in good shape. So I'm going to get this screw back together and get it all sealed up, then we can start filling the pool again once the silicone cures. Alright, I got the inlet jet back together, put a brand new Hayward flange on there, and sealed it up with Teflon tape and Teflon paste, so we shouldn't have any leaks there. And then went around the edge of the flange with 100% silicone. That's got to be cured for 12 hours minimum before exposure to water, so it'll be tomorrow morning before we're able to fill the pool back up and see if it fixed it. It better have, huh, babe?
Oh, yes. The boys are calling.
So there you can see the pipe and the bolts and everything back in place. Got everything snugged back up there. I'm going to go ahead and leave it exposed, not fill in on it with sand or anything until we've had a chance to fill the pool up and make sure it doesn't leak. Hear a frog off in the distance. You better not be thinking about taking up lodging in our pool. All right, well, I'm going to pack up for the evening. It's getting dark here. Not much else to be done. Actually have the day off tomorrow, so I'm going to be back down here early tomorrow morning to try to wrap up some things in the pool house. So we'll check in with you guys tomorrow. All right, we are making some good headway here. We started filling up the pool earlier this morning. The silicone that we use, it was recommended that we allow it to cure for at least 12 hours before putting it underwater. So we gave it about 14 before we started filling it back up, and it's about a little over halfway up the jet at this point, and no water leaking around the fitting, so hallelujah. So we're going to go ahead and fill it back up until we get about halfway up the skimmer, and then once we get up there, then we're going to begin to go ahead and backwash the filter again and get the circulating system ready to rock. We'll go ahead and get it circulating 24 hours, and once we get the water run through there, we'll be able to get more accurate measurements on all of our important stuff like pH, alkalinity, cyanuric acid, all that stuff. Make sure that we got everything to spec, and then once that's done, we'll be able to go ahead and add our salt tomorrow. And then we gotta let the salt dissolve for about 24 hours. Once we've done that, then we'll recheck our levels again, and we'll go ahead and get the salt generator turned on, start making chlorine, and we should be ready to swim. I've been working at the pump house today. I mentioned that we've got an issue with our wastewater line, the one that goes down in the center of the pump house. It used to allow you to backwash the filter and all that. So we had a problem with that. I think what happened is that when they were digging for the new gas line, right about in this area, the waste line comes from underneath the pump house and then goes over kind of diagonally across, kind of past the corner of the pool there, and then over the hill. I think he must have gotten into it at some point and cut the line. So that stinks, but we'll get it fixed. We've got a couple of ways that we might be able to repair it or replace it. In the short run, I went ahead and cut the fitting off that used to go down into the waste pit there and glued on a 2-inch threaded fitting right there. And with that, I'll be able to screw on the discharge hose that I use for my 2-inch trash pump. So this discharge hose, I'll be able to run it over the hill or even into one of our drainage boxes like this one here, and we'll be able to use that to backwash the filter and flush everything out. So that's a good workaround. In other news, we met with our contractor this morning and our concrete guy to discuss final plans for the patio, and I think we've got things figured out here. We're changing up things a little bit. We're going to do a band of brick pavers around the edge of the coping here, and that's going to do a couple things. It's going to be the same width as our skimmer boxes, so it'll be 18 inches. That's going to do a couple things. One, that's going to provide some aesthetic benefit, give us some nice visual interest. Have that band of red brick next to this coping, and then the concrete next to it. So that'll look really good. And then also, just in case something like that fitting breaking happens again, we'll have access to all of our plumbing, because everything that we have, deck jets, skimmers, return lines, everything is in this ditch, or what used to be a ditch, around the edge of the pool. So if we do an 18-inch band of brick pavers all the way around the pool, we're going to be able to have access to all that. We're also going to do a band of brick from the edge of the pool along the halfway point back to the pump house. So we'll start right here where this halfway point is, and we'll go from here back to the edge of the patio, and it'll extend a couple feet on either side of center, so about 4 feet wide. And what that'll do is give us access to the pipes that run back here and go into the pump house. Probably closer to 6 feet wide by the time we get it laid out. So we'll have a band of brick there, and then we'll do one on the opposite side as well, just to keep things symmetrical. So where the big pile of dirt is, there'll be another band of brick. And everything else will be concrete. We've got to pour a 6-inch slab right here in the middle of the deep end for the diving board. So the new diving board base will get some bolts buried in concrete, and then that'll get placed right here about 3 feet back from the water's edge, and then the diving board gets bolted to that. But they need to have an extra thick slab to support the diving board. That way, in case you get a lot of weight on the end of the board, there's no way that thing's going to move. So that'll give you a nice safety net. But that's going to look good. So our excavation contractor, our concrete guy, is going to be back here on Monday, and he's going to start moving all this dirt, spreading that out down here over the hill, kind of moving that dirt and working it around the edge of the hill. And then the plan after that is to go ahead and get all this to final grade and get about 4 inches of stone down all the way around here, and then we'll go with reinforcing wire and pour the concrete in 4 sections, 4 pours after that. So making good progress. Cannot wait to see how good that the brick pavers look in contrast to this light colored limestone, and cannot wait to see all this dirt disappear. It's been a long time since we've had anything but mud and dust and dirt next to the pool, so that's really exciting. So we'll keep you posted. I'm going to get back to work in the pump house and keep knocking out some more of this wiring. All right, so I've got both of the pumps wired up now. The big variable speed pump, which is the main filtration pump, and then the smaller 3/4 horse pump, that is our water feature pump. That line right there connects over here, and that goes out to the deck jets. I actually just worked on the deck jets a little bit, trying to get the pipes for them straightened up. But that was after I finished doing all the wiring in here. As you can see, we're using flexible conduit with watertight connectors for both our power leads and our control wires. Those smaller brown wires that go up to the top of the control panel there. That's a thermostat wire, but that actually goes to the heater and to the variable speed pump. And that allows the Hayward controller to actually control those rather than their individual control panels that they both have, mounted on top there. So that bypasses those control panels, lets the Hayward control panel take charge of those. And the smaller pump here, the single speed, is run off of this auxiliary relay right here. So you can see the line in and the load out there. Those black and white wires are controlled by that relay, and that relay is controlled by this control panel. Once I get it programmed, auxiliary 1, that button there, aux 1, you can set that on a timer. You can do it, manual push button with a countdown, so it'll stay on for a prescribed period of time. Just any way you want to do it. So it'll be pretty handy. But when I hit that auxiliary 1 button, or when the prescribed time gets here, it will trigger the relay, which will turn on the auxiliary pump, and it will also trigger this valve over here. It's going to have a electric stepper motor on it, and that valve will rotate so that most of the water comes from the main drain when the water jets come on, and then the water will come out of the top of the pump here and go through this valve. This valve sends approximately 30% of the water to the deck jets, and the other 70% comes back into this T here and goes back into circulation. So it'd be pretty slick. Every time you turn it on, everything just kind of happens automatically. And then we've got another valve over here, and that's on the return side, and that allows us to send more water to the floor return when the heater comes on. So when the heater comes on, there'll be a signal that goes to an electric motor here, and that'll turn that valve so that about 70% of the water, heated water, goes to the floor, and 30% goes out to all the regular wall returns. So pretty slick the way this control panel works. Happy with the way that's coming together. Still got to wire up the transformer for the light. I'll do that here after a while. And then that's pretty much it for the control panel. We've got it pretty well taken care of. I did get a couple of temperature sensors mounted. You can see one there. That just screws into that pipe there, and that tests the water temperature as it's going into the heater. And that's how the control panel knows if it needs to call for the heater to turn on. And then there's another temperature sensor out here. It's temporarily mounted to the back of this post. I just drove a wooden post in the ground there. And you can see on the back here, there's another one of those temperature sensors. And that's just the air temperature. It just needs to be out of direct sunlight, and so I stuck it over there in the weeds for now. Once we get the pool house redone, we'll be able to move that up to a spot on the outside of the pool house, maybe up under the eave or something like that where it'll be protected. So making good progress there. And then over here around the pool, as I mentioned, I just did an adjustment to all of the deck jet lines. They have to be spaced 14 inches away from the pool. And so while they were moving dirt around and stuff around the pool, some of them actually got shoved closer to the pool or knocked out of alignment. So I just took the shovel and went through and adjusted all those so that they're nice and vertical, and also so they're all 14 inches away from the pool again. Did the same thing on the other side over here, dug all those out, and then stuck a level on them and stuck a tape measure on them and made sure that they're all 14 inches away from the pool. And the next step is actually to take a level off of the coping and mark a line on the side of the deck jet plumbing, and then that'll tell me where I need to place the deck jet so it's level with the top of the coping. And then I'll be able to cut those off and then glue on the deck jets. So making good progress. Amber just came down to check on things. What do you think, hon?
Looks great.
We're almost full again.
That's awesome.
Water is almost to the skimmer.
No water pouring out over here?
No water pouring out of the side of the pool, so that's a plus. And I had to evict a couple of tree frogs from that skimmer over there.
Ugh.
I was working on the other side over here, and I heard a couple of ribbit. I was like, where is that coming from? And I just happened to walk over here and saw a couple of little green bodies in the opening to the skimmer there. So I had to evict them and pitch them back into the woods. But yeah, happy to see there's no water pouring out around this wall return. Let's hope it stays that way.
Definitely.
All right, so we're going to wait for the water to come up a little higher, and then we'll start putting things in circulation. Okay, we've got the pool circulating. Amber came down and gave me a hand, and we hooked up our temporary waistline inside the pool house here. We use this discharge hose from our 2-inch trash pump. Came off of the waistline there, coming off the valve. And then we ran that over here to this drainage box that can be part of our drainage system for our patio, and shot that over the hill. So we ran that, we ran the system on backwash until clear, and then ran it for 2 additional minutes. And then we ran it on rinse for about 1.5 minutes. And we switched over to filter, and we've been running now for, I don't know, about 30 minutes on filter. And it's working pretty well. I've been kind of paying attention to the surface of the pool, watching stuff float by and get drawn over to the edge here and then go into the skimmer. So everything appears to be circulating well. We did have quite a bit of rust and scale and stuff kind of dump out of the lower lines there, the ones I've talked about before, the floor return lines. Those are old galvanized lines, and unfortunately they got pretty funky all those years of sitting. But we put rust and scale remover in it when we first filled up the pool, just to help take that stuff out of solution and into the filter. And then I just dumped another bottle in, and we'll let that run tonight. So let the water run tonight and circulate, and then tomorrow I should be able to get the test strips out and start testing for all of our essential stuff: chlorine levels, pH, alkalinity, cyanuric acid, hardness. And once we've got all those in spec, then we'll be able to go ahead and add our salt, and then let that sit for about 24 hours. Let that dissolve and circulate. And we'll check our salt levels again, make sure they're within spec. And if they're working well, then we'll go ahead and turn on our salt cell, start generating chlorine. So that's the plan. I'm going to let it fill for a little while longer. I'm going to run up to the house, take care of a couple things, and then I'll come back down a little bit to check on it and make sure the water level's where we need it. Probably got another 1.5 inches to go before I can shut it off for the night. And then we'll just watch the water level, make sure we don't have any leaks anywhere else, and kind of keep an eye on everything, make sure we're doing okay. And if everything's operating correctly, no leaks, then we're safe to go ahead and put down our patio. So that's exciting. So that's going to do it for tonight. I'll be back down here tomorrow morning to knock out some more projects, and we'll see you guys then.